The night watch on Horizon Colony, settled on the pale moon of Solaris, was usually uneventful. Security Officer Evan Hale had expected nothing more than scanning quiet corridors and logging routine checks. But at exactly 0300 hours, the soft chime of his door control pulled his attention from the monitors. Someone was standing in his doorway. Even under the faint emergency lights, Evan realized instantly she wasn't human. Her skin held a muted metallic glow, like starlight reflecting off water. Her eyes were far too large, far too vibrant, deep violet framed in shimmering white. She wore flowing garments that shifted color with every breath, as though woven from liquid light. "May I stay here tonight, human?" she asked. Her voice was melodic, layered, almost too harmonious for his translator chip to process. She stepped inside without waiting for permission, and the door sealed behind her with a hiss that made Evan instinctively reach for his communicator. "Hold on," he said sharply. She turned toward him, and in those luminous eyes he saw something unexpected: fear. Real fear. Her long, silver-tipped fingers trembled slightly as she raised a hand. "Please, don't call them." Before Evan could question her, heavy footsteps thundered down the hallway outside his room, slow, purposeful, and too heavy to belong to anyone he knew. The walls quivered. Evan had lived on Horizon Colony for nearly 5 years, and he'd learned one thing: footsteps like that meant danger. "Who are you?" he asked, lowering his hand from the communicator but keeping his distance. She stepped deeper into his quarters, studying everything: his wall of security screens, the small bunk, the cluttered desk, as though memorizing it. When she finally looked back at him, she appeared smaller, less imposing. "My name is Ariel," she said softly. "First daughter of the Velaran sovereignty. My people arrived here 3 cycles ago, seeking partnership. But your leaders have no idea what they've welcomed into their homes." Evan remembered the arrival of the Velaran envoys. The entire colony had watched as their radiant ships descended like falling constellations. They were graceful, beautiful, and spoke of technology beyond human imagination. The governor had celebrated their arrival for weeks. "What exactly are you saying?" Evan asked, stepping subtly between her and the door. His training insisted this was a security breach. Instinct told him she wasn't the threat. Ariel sat on the edge of his bunk, hands clasped tightly. "The ones walking your halls wearing my people's faces are not Velaran at all," she whispered. "They were taken by the void-linked swarm before reaching your moon. The delegation you met is dead. Those you welcomed are parasites wearing Velaran skin." A cold wave rolled through Evan's chest. This night was no longer routine. Evan swallowed hard, trying to process her words. He had stood guard beside the Velaran representatives. He had seen them laugh, negotiate, offer cooperation. He had shaken hands with Ambassador Celaya herself. The idea that they were imposters made his stomach twist. "How am I supposed to believe you?" he asked. Ariel lifted her gaze, and her violet eyes shimmered with moisture, catching the dim light like molten silver. "Because I escaped," she said. "And for 2 weeks I've been hiding in your ventilation grids, watching them prepare. Tonight they seize your governor. Tomorrow they access your communication spires. Within a cycle, your colony becomes part of the swarm's consciousness. And I cannot stop them alone." The distant sound of klaxons began echoing through the colony, a soft wail rising through the corridors. The footsteps outside faded, replaced by muffled alarms and frantic comm messages bouncing off the walls. Ariel moved to the small window, looking out over the illuminated city structures below. "They know I slipped their control," she whispered. "Their scouts are hunting me. If they catch me here, they'll kill you too." Her voice carried both desperation and something else: hope. As though she believed he might actually help. "Why come to me?" he asked, genuinely confused. "Out of everyone in the colony, why choose a night shift security officer?" Ariel turned toward him, her expression resolute. "Because your species is new to the galactic fold," she said. "You do not follow the patterns the older civilizations do. You do not surrender when logic says you must. You resist instinctively. The swarm cannot anticipate you, cannot manipulate you. That makes your kind dangerous to them." She stepped closer, placing a slender hand on his arm. Her touch was warm, human in a way he didn't expect. "I've been observing your people since we arrived," she continued. "I've seen reckless courage in your soldiers, impossible ingenuity in your engineers. I came to you because you are unpredictable. Because you might choose the impossible." The door control chimed suddenly. Both of them froze. A distorted voice spoke from the other side, first in melodic Velaran, then perfectly in English. "Evan Hale. You are harboring a fugitive of the Alliance. Release her into our custody now or face charges of treason. Each word felt like a blade carving through the air. Ariel stiffened beside him. The imposters had found them. Evan stared at the door, pulse pounding in his ears. The voice, not Velarin, not truly, felt wrong, hollow. Like something mimicking speech rather than speaking it. On the other side, something slammed against the metal panel, making the entire frame shudder. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ariel gripped Evan's arm, her strength startling for someone so slender. "They will kill us both," she whispered. "The swarm doesn't tolerate loose threads." But beneath her fear, he sensed determination, a spark of belief that hadn't been there moments ago. Evan made his choice. He moved to his locker, pulled out his service pulse pistol and checked the charge. Ariel watched him with widening eyes. "What are you doing?" she breathed. "What I should have done the moment you walked in," Evan replied, grabbing his emergency communicator. "Buying us time." As he typed a coded message directly to the colony's security chief, bypassing standard channels, Ariel stepped closer. "You trust me?" she asked in a trembling voice as if the answer mattered more than anything. "I trust my gut," he said. "And right now it's telling me something is very wrong with the people outside that door." Another crash hit the metal, harder this time. A low guttural clicking sound vibrated through the wall. Evan continued typing. Priority red. Potential hostile infiltration. Imposters among Velarin delegation. Initiate secure protocols immediately. He hit send. "What makes humans special to them?" he asked. Ariel sighed, her expression softening. "Because your kind faces extinction every century and still rises. Because you leap into danger rather than hide from it. The swarm thrives on predictability. But humans," she smiled faintly, "you stray from every pattern." Before Evan could reply, the door panel sparked violently. An amplified voice rasped, "Override authorization granted. Stand aside." Evan positioned himself between Ariel and the door, weapon raised. The door exploded inward. The creature that stepped through wore the shape of a Velarin envoy, but only loosely. Its skin shimmered like corrupted glass, rippling unnaturally. Its eyes were pits of shifting black. Its limbs moved with a sickening elasticity. Evan fired before it finished stepping inside. The creature screeched, the sound piercing and metallic. Ariel's hands ignited with bright silver light, streams of energy swirling around her fingers. She leaped forward, moving with impossible grace, striking the creature with a burst of shimmering force that sent it crashing into the wall. Evan had no time to marvel. More shadows shifted in the hallway. The swarm was coming. Sirens blared throughout the colony as the fight erupted in Evan's cramped quarters. The first creature collapsed in a heap of distorted limbs, its skin flickering between shapes like a broken hologram. But more figures approached, their footsteps like pounding metal. Ariel stood beside him, silver light pulsing from her palms. The glow reflected in her violet eyes, turning fear into fierce determination. From the hallway came a distorted chorus of voices, Velarin tones twisted into something mechanical and predatory. Evan tightened his grip on his pistol. "They won't stop," Ariel warned. "Not until I'm absorbed, or silenced." "Then we hold them off," Evan said. Gunfire crackled down the corridor as colony security forces finally responded to his emergency signal. Evan heard familiar voices shouting orders, the thrum of rifles charging, boots slamming against metal floors. The reinforcements had arrived. A monstrous figure lunged into the doorway, its body half-shifted, skin flowing like oil. Evan fired 3 rapid shots. Ariel followed with an arc of silver energy that tore across its chest. The creature crumpled but twitched violently, still partially alive. "Evan," someone shouted from the corridor. It was the security chief, Captain Moretti. "We're pushing them back, whatever they are." Another screech echoed, followed by weapons fire. Evan and Ariel moved into the hallway, stepping over the fallen creature. The corridor flickered between emergency red lights and bursts from rifle muzzles. Human officers were fighting the parasites head-on. Some wounded, some terrified, all fighting anyway. Ariel raised her hands again. Silver light shot forth, striking a creature as it leaped from the ceiling. The blast hurled it into a wall, leaving a smoldering crater. Evan understood in that moment why the swarm feared humans, and why Ariel had put her faith in him. They weren't losing. For the first time since her escape, Ariel saw humans resisting the impossible. They weren't running. They weren't surrendering. They were fighting back. Her hope grew brighter, literally. The radiant energy in her hands intensified, illuminating the corridor like moonfire. We can turn this, she said breathlessly. We will, Evan said. Together they pushed forward, meeting the next wave head-on. The tide was shifting. The battle surged down the corridor, but the momentum had changed. Human security teams, now aware of the infiltration, moved in coordinated formations. The air was thick with the sound of pulse rifles, crackling energy, and the metallic wails of exposed parasites. Ariel fought alongside them, her silver energy blasts carving through the void-linked creatures with surgical precision. Every strike she unleashed drew gasps from nearby soldiers, half awe, half fear, but none hesitated to fight beside her. Side by side, Evan and Ariel advanced toward a junction where multiple creatures were converging. The parasites moved with unnatural speed, their false Velarin forms deteriorating the longer they fought. Dark fluid dripped from their features. Their voices warbled with static. Evan fired until his pistol clicked empty, then reloaded with shaking hands. Sweat dripped down his spine. The corridor lights flickered violently, casting the fight in chaotic flashes of red and white. Ariel stepped close to him, breathing hard. If I fall, she said quietly, you must get off-world. Warn the other colonies. Not happening, Evan said without hesitation. Ariel blinked at him, something like disbelief softening her features. Even in the chaos, she allowed herself a small, radiant smile. The last creature hurled itself toward them just as reinforcements arrived. A combined volley from human rifles and Ariel's silver burst struck the monster midair, tearing it apart before it touched the ground. Silence settled across the hallway except for the distant echo of colony alarms. Captain Moretti approached, helmet cracked and armor scorched. Hail, he said, your message saved this colony. Evan nodded, breath heavy. We're not done, he said. This was just the first wave. Ariel moved to stand beside him, her presence calm and steady. But you fought back, she said. Humans fought back. That is something the swarm never anticipates. The remaining soldiers gathered, watching her with a mixture of respect and uncertainty. She glanced at Evan, her expression soft, grateful. You saved my life tonight, she said quietly. And maybe much more than that. Evan adjusted his pistol, checking the next charge. Anytime, princess, he said with a tired grin. Welcome to humanity. Outside, emergency beacons lit the sky as Horizon Colony prepared for the greater war to come. But for the first time the balance had shifted. Because one alien princess had chosen to trust humanity, and one human had believed her. Their fight had only begun, but hope had ignited.